Good evening. This evening I am running sorry, my name's David, and I am running a session of Hearts of Wulin. Hearts of Wulin is an upcoming Powered by the Apocalypse game set in sort of the Wulin world of mythical China. So our players this evening will be playing martial artists and warriors of the Wulin, whose personal relationships and entanglements will get confused, and we'll see some drama from them. So the idea with Hearts of Wulin is it's very much based on the sort of more melodramatic end of the martial arts genre. So in particular, some sort of long-running Chinese martial arts series, and also films like sort of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or Hero. Those sort of stories are much more driven by characters than necessarily sort of pure action. So yeah, that's sort of the game we'll be playing this evening. We're playing this as part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. So the Gauntlet is an online role-playing game community. We play games together through the Hangouts calendar, which is the session we're playing this evening. We also have some podcasts, a variety of podcasts on different subjects. In general, the Gauntlet community kind of focuses on indie role-playing games, including both sort of your OSR side of things through to story games and anything sort of around those 2 points. Finally, we also have a monthly zine that has both new games and materials for existing games. Again, very much in that story game, also very much in that indie game sphere. So information on all of those things can be found at the website at www.gauntlet-rpg.com. We also have some forums there. You can go and check us out and talk to people, find out what's going on. So the game we're running this evening, Hearts of Wulin, is shortly going to be published via Kickstarter next month, I believe. Again, there is a sort of page giving advance information with a mailing list to find out more about that Kickstarter if you're interested. I'll put links to that in the comments below. All that said, I will ask the players to introduce themselves. We'll go through in character keeper order. But yeah, as I said, my name is David. I use he/him pronouns. I'm based in the UK, based up in Sheffield. So yeah, if I can ask Pavel first, if you can introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Pavel. I'm from Poland. Should I introduce my character right now or later?
Well, we'll come back to that in the second. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just do personal introductions for the moment. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Sorry, my mute button has forgotten to turn itself off when I was trying to click it. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he/him. I'm based in Dublin, Ireland, and this will be my first time playing Hearts of Wulin. So yeah, really excited.
My name's Alan. He/him. I'm in a different part of Yorkshire from Sheffield, and this will be my third opportunity to play Hearts of Wulin, which is jolly good fun.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Yeah, the other thing I will point out is one of the features of the Gauntlet Hangouts is that most games we run are based on a sort of an open table policy, which is to say, you're free to sign up for as many or few sessions of a game as you're able to do. Through one thing and another this evening, we have a very different cast of faces from last time we played. If you have watched the previous session of this, so both Alan and Donna are joining into this game for the first time this evening, so we'll be introducing their characters in just a moment. Pavel has been playing with us from the beginning, for the last two sessions, and this will be his final session this evening. So we're kind of seeing both incoming and outgoing players, and next time we'll have a slightly different cast once again. But yes, before I ask you to all introduce your characters, and we'll set up our new entanglements, which are essentially the relationships that bind the characters together. What I will ask, what I will do, I should say, is I'll just go briefly over our safety tools we're using this evening. So we want to ensure that we're playing this game in a safe and friendly environment. So we have a few kind of ground rules that we and tools that we use to do that. So primarily, every game that's played in the Gauntlet Hangouts is based around the Gauntlet inclusivity policy. This is just it's a very, very brief set of rules. Is almost going too far for it. Sort of statements about how we play. And primarily these boil down to the fact that we accept that we're all here to play games together and have a good time. We're going to treat each other as friends. We're going to treat each other with kindness, and we're going to treat each other with generosity. And we're not here to make each other have a bad time. We're here to support each other and have fun. And that's kind of the underlying principle to what we're doing this evening. As part of this, we have the open door policy, which is to say, if at any point you feel that you need to leave the game, whether that be just to take a brief break or like to call the game for the evening, that is perfectly fine. If like we go into the area and you're just not having fun with the game anymore, or you're just not feeling well or whatever, and you need to leave the game, feel free to do so. You don't need to explain yourself. If you can let me know if there's a specific thing that's caused you issues or whatever, then feel free to do so, but don't feel obligated to do so. If you need to leave, then leave. Likewise, if if you suddenly get if you get a phone call, or if something comes up and you need to take a few minutes away, if something gets particularly intense in the game and you need to take a few minutes break, or if you just need to go and get a drink, that's fine. Again, if you need to take those couple of minutes away, do so. If you let me know, that's cool, but you, again, don't feel obligated to do so. Safety tools. So this evening we will be using the script change tool by Brie Boge-Sheldon. So for my players, I've linked the PDF for this in the shared drive. So the idea with the script change is there are a number of command words that you can use to help us navigate some of the content in this game. The sort of keywords for that are rewind, which is if something's happened that you're not particularly happy with, and you want us to say, actually, can we step back to just before that happened and try doing it differently going forwards, then you can use rewind to do that. There is pause, and now pause is just does literally what it says. That's just to say, actually, can we stop the scene at the moment? And we might want to have a quick discussion. You might say, pause. Okay, I don't know where you're planning to go with this, but I'm not happy with this element. We'll have a quick discussion and then move forward. Or it might be that like a scene is particularly intense and you just want to pause. So you just say, I just need like 30 seconds to disengage with this before I come back into it. However you want to use it, that's fine. Pause is just the kind of basic, like, we need a moment, and there will presumably be some discussion about why or what you need from that. Then we have fast forward. This is basically if something comes up that you don't want to dwell on. So it might be something like, okay, I don't need an in-depth discussion of how you're like beating this guy to death. That's unnecessary. Can we just skip to the point where he is dead? Fairly extreme example there, but it's that sort of thing. It's like just if you just want to skip on to after this thing has happened, that's what we use that for. So we have frame by frame. This is if we're coming up to a scene that you think might be difficult, or might have some content you're not entirely sure whether, you can call for that. And all that means is we'll just kind of take that scene a bit more slowly and do some sort of check-ins with each other to make sure that we're all happy with where it goes. That's that. There is instant replay that you can use this at the end of a scene to basically just say, it can be used just literally for going, hey, I thought what you did there was really awesome. That was cool. I like that. That's a perfect use of it. Also, if you just want to say, I just want to double check because it kind of got a bit muddled in there. Did you take the gem from the Emir before we fled the throne room or not? Because it sounded like you were doing that, but I wasn't sure if you did or not. That sort of clarification, and that's fine. And finally, there is resume, which is just literally like once we've used something else, you can just say resume to kind of say, okay, I'm fine now. We've kind of gone past it. Maybe say we've gone through step by step, and you're like, actually, no, we've kind of elided the content I was a bit unsure about. So I'm happy for us just to carry on playing normally from this point onwards. That's fine. So that's a very brief introduction to the script change tool. Again, said the PDF should be available for my players. So if you do need to just sort of refresh yourself on that, feel free to do so. And again, feel free to use these tools as you need to ensure that you're enjoying yourself. Finally, the last tool is a kind of emergency brake, the X card. If any content comes up that you are not happy with, then you can invoke the X card. We'll stop. We'll excise that content. We'll avoid it going forwards. To invoke the X card, and make an X sign with your hands, put something in chat. Or just say something verbally. It's probably actually the easiest way to get my attention. And what we'll do then, we'll just stop for a moment. I may ask you to clarify what it is that you want to X card, what content it is that you don't want in there. But I won't ask you to justify why you're making that decision. I just might need to know so that we know what to avoid going forwards if it's not clear from context. So that's that. As I said, you can use this. Like I said, if some content is uncomfortable and you're not enjoying it, or even if it's just kind of like you think actually tonally I don't feel this is right, then feel free to do that. I mean, there's a lot of overlap obviously here between the X card and the pause button from the script change tool, but the X card is sort of there as a kind of because it's sort of an easy thing to invoke without having to think overly much about it. So feel free to use any of those tools as you see fit. If you do get X carded, if the content you introduce gets X carded, don't take it personally. These things happen. Don't feel the need to apologize or explain or justify why you brought that in. If something gets X-carded, we'll move past it. We'll have what conversation we need to, but we won't dwell on it. I think that is everything. So with that said, I will ask our players to introduce their characters. We'll go around once, introduce each of our characters again through character key order from Pavel through Alan. Then once we've done our brief character introduction, we will then go through and do entanglements. Normally everyone has 2 entanglements, one romantic, one general, because of the changing in cast essentially this evening, and how much time we'll have to go through stuff. We'll just do 1 entanglement each this evening. For those characters who are here next week, we will introduce your other entanglement then once we have other players in. But that's what we'll do for now. So Pavel, if you could introduce Ming to us, please.
So I'm playing Ming, the Red Lotus, who is from Black Fox Brotherhood. She is also known to very few as a Yellow Whisper, which is her noble thief persona. She means well. She's like Lady Robin Hood, exposing the corrupt and the bad guys so that they can face some justice. Yeah, I think that's Ming. I think we haven't seen her fight even once even in the earlier session, so it might not be well known that she actually is an expert with paired weapons, and her favorite are war fans because they can be used for lady to just like cool herself and then to also fight. So who knows? Maybe today, maybe not. Yeah, that's Ming.
Okay, I'll be playing Ong Jie, also known as the Son of Stone and Sorrow. He is a disciple of the Phoenix Immortal, one of the last few remaining of that order, which was destroyed some years previously. A swordsman with a legendary sword on the trail of vengeance or justice, as he would call it. Okay.
I'll be playing Yu Su, who is a thoughtful master of the Guardians of the Lotus Pavilion, an order of, I think it's described as charitable monks. He's been sent into the world to reduce the amount of violence in it, and perhaps to help others see that there is more to life than they thought. He's interesting in as much as he's, I think, older than the other characters and has milky white eyes. He appears to be completely blind, but that doesn't interfere with his capacity to defend himself very effectively using his bamboo bass. I'll try that again. In fact, I shall simply say bamboo flute. And yes, that's him. He's an aware, which is one of those slightly mystical characters that you find in this genre. And specifically, he is a master of calm.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Yeah, and I will just give a very brief description of the place we find ourselves in. It is a sort of largish city in a mythical China. We're not hewing too closely to any particular historical period as a sort of conscious decision here, though that we will be, treating the culture it's based on with all due respect. It's spring, much as it is in the real world currently. Very nice spring day today, and the blossom is in bloom on the trees. There is a festival going on, at which, in particular, the sort of young, upcoming members of the Wulin sort of come to show off their skills. There are all sorts of contests and competitions going on in the city, and a general air of festivity. As I said, we've had a couple of sessions of this already, so we've had some stuff happen, but we'll be taking probably a slightly different view on things this evening, as we have a slightly different cast. But yes, we will go through. So obviously, Pavel, you already have two entanglements. If you wish to say what those are, and then which of those you wish to if you wish to change one, obviously I would encourage you to change one, given the fact that none of the players who were here last time are here for this session. And then for the other two, I will ask you to each introduce one of your entanglements, pair it up with some PCs and NPCs, and as said, next session we will introduce your other. For those who are introducing new ones this time, you can introduce either your romantic or your general entanglement. But yeah, so Pavel, if we can start off with you.
So since I'm really looking forward to doing some kind of a heist at the Governor Mansion, my entanglement for the session, I erased the earlier ones because they will not come up to the cup. They will not appear today. And the entanglements I want to pursue today is I've learned that my friend Anzi has been betrayed by their teacher, Governor Bao. But they will never believe me. So, Anzi, do you see it that the governor was like kind of like took you after your clan was after your clan was destroyed, or was teaching you something? Do you feel it? Do you see it somehow?
Yeah, I really like that. I think maybe could it be that Bao is or was a member of the order, and was in fact was responsible, was the inside man to whoever destroyed them, in return for all of this new power and position that he has gained.
That certainly sounds possible. That sounds like an interesting hook.
But obviously, I could not believe that of
Of course,
my most my most honorable teacher. Cool.
Brilliant. And yeah, if you want to introduce your entanglement that you want to sort of bring in this evening.
So I have one here. I swore to someone that I would protect someone, but they would be offended if they knew. I had been thinking that Ming's master is it Wei?
Yep, yeah, that's right. Wei, patient Wei is Ming's master.
Knowing that I could hang out with Ming without much suspicion might protect her, because Wei knew that Ming was going to do something very, very foolish. But obviously, I don't know what. I'm just hanging around to protect you. But Ming obviously doesn't need any such protection. If that works.
Yeah, sounds perfect.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay.
I said, if you wish to introduce your other entanglement now, you are welcome to, but you don't have to, because, like I said, because it's just the three of us. Well, three of you this evening. We don't have to do the full thing.
I've settled on a romantic entanglement, and I think because of where you are in the ongoing plot, I think it's quite logical to place Ming at the center of it. So I'm going to suggest that I fled from Ming Red Lotus because of the heartache, and I've inserted there caused by her secret life. But someone, their lover, has called me back to honor a debt. Now, I wonder if I think that there is more than friendship between An Zi and Ming, and that it is An Zi who brought me back, who called me back to honor a debt. We can argue the toss about what the debt might be. How does that work for the pair of you?
That works for me, I guess. But I'm not sure how you envisage the relationship.
Yeah, it's totally possible. Like even though last time, yeah, I think it totally makes sense, because last time what we have seen was Ming has kind of like a lover, but he obviously wants someone else. So it's very naturally that she would feel something more for Anzi, especially that she really wants to like help him, but he doesn't understand that this man is lying to him. So there's definitely some possibility for more interaction.
Well, I could edit it to say, but An Zi, who I think is her lover, has called me back to honor a debt, so it's left in some doubt. What do you think?
That's fine by me. I'm happy to leave it a little bit open, see what happens in play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
But
cool.
This leads me to ask, like, what are your feelings toward Ming? Because it is your entanglement, and you will be somehow pursuing it. So what are thoughtful master Su feelings toward Ming?
I think that he loved her, but he fled because he couldn't deal with the heartache, and also I think probably her lifestyle clashes markedly with his, and so I think probably now he thinks of her more as a daughter than a partner. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
That sounds good. Excellent. So I just have, what I'll do is I have one, I've an establishing question to ask the two new players this evening to kind of establish. I mean, I think we've got some good ideas from those entanglements as to why you may be here, but some specific establishing questions as to what you're doing in the city at this particular moment in time. So I'll ask those. We'll get some answers on that, and then we'll take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll get straight into the game. So. With me 1 second. So, Thoughtful Master Yusu. Which two factions are on the precipice of conflict, and why do you owe them both a debt of honor?
Okay, I think that the surviving disciples of the Phoenix Immortal, in the form of Anzi, are, let me think, which faction does Governor Bao belong to?
As far as everyone is aware, none. He, again, as far as people are aware, he is not really a member of the Wulin. He's just a governor. Obviously, Anshi and Ming know differently. He clearly does have some martial skill.
Okay, then
the ruling, essentially the Shang clan are the big power players in the city.
But Bao isn't one of the clans.
He's not one of them. No, he's kind of
associated with
them, but not one of them.
Have either of the unrighteous, unorthodox factions raised their head so far?
Both. There is a member of, I believe, in fact, one of the entanglements that. Ming was investigating the, or believed that it has been sort of working against the 11 Devil Perfection Society, and last time some assassins from the Veiled Knight made an attempt on one of the characters who isn't here this evening.
Okay, well, I think then that the Guardians of the Lotus Pavilion probably believe that the 11 Devil Perfection Society was instrumental in the destruction of the Phoenix Immortal. And therefore, I think that it is the survivors of the Phoenix Immortal and the 11 Devil Perfection Society who are at risk of open conflict. Does that fly?
That sounds good, yep. And why do you owe both of those factions a debt of honor? Doesn't have to be the same reason, obviously.
No,
but,
I think that I could have warned the Phoenix Immortal of what the 11 Devil Perfection Society were going to do. And I think that the reason that I didn't tell the disciples this was that I owed the 11 Devil Perfection Society a debt of honor because they taught me one of their forbidden chi techniques. I'm not sure we'll see that in play until I get an advancement, but you never know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm shocked, Master. You.
Yeah, well, just as well you don't know.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Cool. Yeah, that's great. So, Anshay, who here in the city do you seek to challenge? And do you want revenge, or are you just trying to prove a point? This is probably a fairly easy one for you.
Let's see. Are there? I mean, I kind of want to play into that, right? But I don't see any 11 Devil Perfection Society NPCs. Are there?
So actually, no, we haven't had any NPCs from them.
Okay,
One of the former
okay.
players was actually, sorry, I tell a lie. So I just have to unhide something on the.
For what it's worth, I think that I might believe that Governor Bao is associated with them, but that's just by the by.
Well, I would never believe that.
Actually, sorry, the person it might make sense is just going to the NPCs. Sorry, I haven't actually fully updated this yet, but most of them are there. Sun Feng is a nobleman for whom there's been some suspicions about his true motivations, and also Ming actually trusts him to some extent. So it might be interesting if that was the person.
Yeah. So that works for me. I think I'm in town primarily, or the reason maybe I arrived in town originally was to challenge him, but also to try to find my way up the ladder of influence for the destruction of the order. You know, he will give me the name of the person above him. You know, we're going to roll that witness, as it were.
Indeed, it has been rumored that the leader of the 11 Devil Perfection Society had disappeared in mysterious circumstances not long ago.
I mean, you might say that. I couldn't possibly comment. And maybe, you know, most people think that the Phoenix Immortal are gone, but I know that if I challenge him in a very public manner, people will see me, they will see the sword, and they will know that we are back, and maybe that'll shake the trees a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds good. Cool. Okay, so yeah, I will. We'll take a 5-minute break now, and then we'll get straight into it. As I said, we will be kicking things off at the party that Governor Bao is throwing, that Ming is trying to infiltrate, and the other two of you will be there for your own reasons.
David, just before we do take that break,
certainly,
do you want to talk about bonds?
Oh yes, sorry, bonds. So for those of you starting today, you get to choose 2 bonds. One of those is with a faction. It doesn't have to be the faction you're a member of, but it can be. And one of those is with another player character. Again, doesn't have to be one with whom you have an entanglement, but that often makes sense.
Okay.
What bonds let you do is essentially spend points to you can spend a point of bond to give a bonus when you are acting against that person, or acting in their support. So if the two of you want to choose who the targets for your bonds are, then feel free to do so.
Well, I'd like to have a faction bond with the Shang clan.
Yeah.
Because I think I read that Auntie Shang is a senior, and so Auntie Shang has asked me to help keep the peace during the festival.
Yeah, that sounds plausible.
And then I'd like to put a bond in related to that backstory you just talked about with the disciples. The disciples of the Phoenix Immortal could cause war to break out if they confront the 11 devils.
That sounds good.
So that's with Anzi.
Yep, cool.
I'm going to be very straightforward and put in the 11 Devil Perfection Society as my faction bond.
Yep.
Because I'm very specifically hunting them down. I wonder if I could put in a bond with Master Yu. Perhaps after the destruction of the Order, he tried to talk Angzi down. You know, maybe tried to become a mentor to him, but it didn't take, obviously.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
Cool. Perfect. Yeah, with that done, we will take our 5-minute break now, and come back in 5.
So I have a question for you, Ming. Does Onze know of your secret identity as Yellow Whisperer?
That's a good question. I think you definitely know, but not from me. Like my teacher, Patient Wei, told you because
Okay.
you of course know, and like I don't know that you know, but you know but you know it. I think it might be fun to play around with it, and
Sure.
and obviously Yusu, yes, is Yusu is the name of your character. Alan, do you pronounce it that way?
Yes, I pronounce it as spelt, I'm afraid, because I can't think. There's probably a different way to pronounce it, but yeah, Yusu.
Okay, and I think that Yusu definitely also knows because of our past relationships. So,
But of course, he would not mention it to anyone.
I hope so.
Sorry, I was just typing something up while I was out of tab. Cool. So, where we'll pick things up is Governor Bao is throwing a lavish party as part of the festivities. Each of you will be in attendance. So I will start. I'll actually start from Yusu this time. Is Yusu at this party in his sort of capacity as a representative of the Lotus Pavilion?
Yes, I think so, because his public presence as part of the Guardians of the Lotus Pavilion, I think is intended to almost create an atmosphere of calm. And so, yes, I don't think there's any sense of him pretending not to be who he is.
Excellent. And so, Anshay, how is why or how are you present at this party? I mean, it's a fairly obvious thing. You're obviously a pupil of Governor Bao, but again, are you sort of here as just as part of his entourage, or?
I think I am here incognito, maybe maybe dressed up as a member of the guard, the governor's bodyguard, to roam the halls without anyone paying much attention to me, but with a little bit of official reason to be here. Maybe he's invited me because he suspects trouble, and I don't know who could possibly mean to bring him trouble.
Excellent. And finally, Ming, how are you at the party this evening? Have you managed to gain an invitation, or are you here entirely uninvited?
I think that we totally see the scene of the like entrance to the gardens of the palace, and there's like a long queue of people waiting, and then we see Ming in her. For now, she has like a red dress that will then miraculously turn into yellow, but it's like a special clown magic. Like, yeah. So we see her like jump, like swoop from like one roof to the second roof, and then like jump over the wall of the gardens, and then she just like mingles with the people going to the palace.
Excellent. That sounds great. Cool. So, I think we see the people are sort of queuing up and waiting outside the governor's estate, eager to, even if not to get into the party, at least to sort of bask in the general ambience around it, and be seen to be around, even if they don't actually get through the doorway itself. And we see it's a sort of a lavish, large estate. Inside, there are various courtyards with finely laid out gardens in them, pools. There are servants everywhere bringing around food and drink to the guests at the party, and everyone here is in their finest garb, looking stylish and well presented. The Zheng clan are here, obviously in force. This is sort of the de facto landholders of a lot of the land here. There are Sun Feng, one of the local dignitaries, is also present, as would be expected, looking resplendent in his finest courtly garb. And obviously, Governor Bao himself is at the center of festivities. People are sort of paying him their respects, and as the sort of attendants at the feet of his well, not a throne, but of his sort of the chair in which he is reclining, offering food and drink to those who come and sort of give their obeisance to him. And so I would like each of you to describe something that kind of implies that there's something maybe shadowy going on behind this glitzy facade of the party. And if anyone wants to shout out, otherwise I will. Yeah, go for it.
As we look around this glittering throng, we will see that people appear to be mixing, but they're actually clustering. So the different factions are tending to hang together, and you see some movement in and out of those little factional groups, but there's much kind of whispering and looking across the room at somebody else.
Excellent.
I would like to add to this that we see that I think that for now we see that the party is happening mostly in the maybe like a big gardens, and most of the ways like maybe there are like other parts of the gardens. It's of course like a summer or spring evening, so it's like very warm. But maybe we see that some parts of some pathways to the other parts of the gardens or to the palace itself are guarded by a man we would not expect here. Like they're like dressed in like a all black, but with just like a very simple like a breastplate with like the governor insignia to show that they are not like ninjas, but like kind of like a guard. But they're like weird. I don't know if his statue should have a fully dressed in uniform guards, not like some shadowy black dressed guys.
Excellent. Cool.
I think there are maybe two things that I might want to add. One is that, as we've said, most of the party revelers are in the gardens outside, and maybe it's just because it's such a fine spring night that it's a great opportunity to do that. But what we see, like in the governor's palace, high up on higher levels of balconies, or there's like a section or a company of guards up there with bows and and many quivers of arrows, just in case things kick off. And also, if I can add an extra detail, I don't know if we have established the kind of place in terms of the governor's palace, but if I can maybe suggest that it's on the shore of a lake or the banks of a river, and there is a galley waiting at the river gate, kind of ready to go, in a not really auspicious manner.
Excellent. Yeah, that sounds cool. Yes. So,
can I just clarify one thing? Is Anshay dressed as one of those official governor's guards, or is he dressed as one of these black-clad guards bearing Bao's personal crest?
I think one of the normal guards, not quite as mysterious or threatening as the black-clad, not ninjas, honest people. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, so the as I said, the party is mostly taking place in the gardens. There are lanterns lit all around, throwing pools of light in the. It's one of those evenings. It's a sort of spring evening. It has started to, starting to keep the light a little longer in the evenings, but it is dark by the time that the party gets into its full swing. Though there are lanterns all around that provide enough illumination to enjoy oneself in. The governor has his sort of a little pavilion set up where he is seated. As I said, he is greeting the guests as they come to the party. We know, obviously, currently Anshay is disguised as one of the governor's guards. We'll get back to what he's doing in a moment. So, Master Yusu, what do you think you're doing currently at this stage in the evening?
I think that I am wandering among the guests, probably playing my flute, and but listening carefully to the conversations around me, and part of me probably thinks that because I've been called back to keep an eye on Ming, this seems to be the kind of opportunity that Ming would struggle to ignore. And so I'm listening for any voice that might indicate that Ming is present in the crowds.
Excellent. So I think what I'm going to have you do actually is roll me a study move. And I think you're kind of getting a feel for the environment of the party.
And I think that this is an awareness. Just how good is my hearing, given that I don't see?
Yeah, certainly.
So I'll roll with water at +2. That gets me to 7.
7.
On a 7 to 9.
Yeah, on the 7 to 9, you get 1 hold, which you can spend on the list below. So you can ask a question about a situation or place. You can ask a question about a person. You can learn a person's scale, which is probably not relevant at the moment. Or you can reveal a detail, which is so you can declare something which changes or adds to the established fiction.
I don't know if this is changing a detail or asking a question. I could either ask the question, do I find Ming? Or do I identify someone who could be Ming? Or reveal a detail? Oh, there's Ming.
Yeah, so I think at the moment, Ming, I'll just clarify here, Ming she's not currently disguising her identity, is she? She's gained access to the party covertly, but she is still currently in her sort of Ming persona.
Yes. It's a little bit fancier than the photos, like it's the same kind of dress as the Yellow Whisper, but it's like fully red. And then a dramatic appropriate moment, it will turn green, turn yellow, we'll see. But
Yeah,
there are many between people.
So yeah. With that said, Alan, I think it is probably fair that you can, if you wish, you can discover Ming amongst the revelers, and I will let the two of you describe that encounter.
And yes, I think I will approach playing my flute, so there's no sense of sneaking up on her, and say, "Is that Ming I hear?"
Yes, and we hear the person like turn, and the dress makes like a sound as it's turning, and she faces you, and she bows. Master Yusu, what a surprise to find you at this party. I have not heard that you are back in town for the festivities.
I have been called back by the Shang to ensure that there is peace and calm across the city during the festival. I wish I could say that I was surprised to find you here, Ming.
There is like I'm not sure what is surprising over here. A party, a governor's party, one of the main points of the festivities. I wouldn't like to miss it.
Yes, and I'm sure that you've come with all the best intentions, my child, to simply add your glowing presence and your skill in all the great arts to this glittering convocation of people. Am I right in thinking that you are here simply to enjoy yourself?
Of course, Master Yusu. I'm here to do what's right. Of course.
Oh, yes. And a judgment of what is right is so often depends on the individual's view of right. Isn't that true, Ming?
Yes, Master, you're right as always, and you are very wise. But I think everyone should have their own opinion of what's right and what's wrong. I'm pretty sure that before the party will end, some of those things will be confronted.
Ah, is that true? I think I'd like to study Ming to see whether I can ask a question about the situation or place. May I study again? I'd like to use I think it's that same sense of trying to judge, is Ming telling me in so many words that she's going to steal some stuff today?
I think no roll is required to deduct this.
But just for certainty's sake, that gets me to 8. So I will ask, what is Ming's motivation for being here? Sorry, I've just realized I can have intentions. What is her intention?
So should I describe it that what as what you see or what you hear?
I suppose my interpretation of this study is that simply he's almost a lie detector here.
Mhm.
By listening to the tone of her voice, by catching that slight catch in her breathing, perhaps the slight agitation of that glittering dress as she is slightly discomforted by these difficult questions. I'm hoping that he's going to be able to tell, is she going to steal something?
Yes, your indication is like absolutely correct. You can hear she's talking to you and doesn't want to be impolite, but she's like turning all the time, just as if she was like looking around and scanning for something. And yeah, and you know her. She tells you the white lies and like kind of like an obvious thing, but obfuscates that some things will go down tonight.
Well, then I gently slip my hand through her arm and say, let's go and eat together.
The thing I will kind of add in, and if this is okay, Pavel, obviously feel free to contradict if not. But I think the one thing that you do get as well, just because you were specifically asking about intentions and the conversation that the two of you just had, I think what Yusu will pick up on as well is that you know Ming, sorry, got lost there. That Ming does honestly believe in that what she's doing is sort of is the right thing. Is that fair to say?
Yes, in her point of view, she's completely doing the right thing by her standards.
Absolutely. But in order to keep the peace, I think I will simply endeavor to spend the next hour with Ming unless she can give me the slip.
Excellent. And I think with that, we will briefly go over to Anshay. So obviously you're here incognito as in your guard's uniform. What are you doing at the minute? Is there something in specific you're trying to achieve?
I think I will have noticed that Sun Feng is present, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's probably in his he's a man in his say maybe middle 30s. He has the long long queue down his back. He's dressed in the garb of a court official, as you know him to be. He's a sort of nobleman and member of the court. He is, he's schmoozing, he's doing the rounds, he's chatting to people. He doesn't seem to be involved in any particular sort of in-depth conversations here, but he seems to be sort of mingling and making his presence known amongst the guests at the party.
So I think maybe I will be, taking like a normal guard's route or standing every so often at a doorway and basically kind of circling the gardens, but always kind of with an eye on him or the people he has just talked to or something like that.
Yeah.
Trying to see what the pattern is, trying to see, if he is sending messages or conspiring in some way. So yeah, I guess trying to be a little bit focused on him, not trying to tip my hand to divulge my interest in him, even though that's exactly what I am focused on.
Yeah, excellent. Again, that sounds like it's probably at the stage of study as well. So again, if you want to use whichever stat you feel most reflects your MO and which chi or which element, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it being earth or wood if like patience is the main one, it would be wood. But if it's like that caution and focus, it might be earth. So I don't know which makes most sense.
I think either of those is fair. And I have somehow managed to lose my.
I mean, I have
window, but
+2 in earth and -1 in wood. If that.
No, that's. I mean, I
which
think
made most sense for you.
Earth sounds fine. Caution, focus.
Okay.
That sounds like what you're doing. So yeah, that's
Cool. Let me roll those. Okay, so I got a 4 +2 is a 6.
indeed. So, I think you are watching Sun Feng quite closely. When you hear a whisper in your ear, "Oh dear, if you wish to pass yourself off as a guard, you really need to be more alert than that." And you feel something prick into the side of your neck. And you can feel sort of your neck start to numb slightly. So I would like you to mark your earth, please. And you are aware that there is a figure. They are dressed, actually, they as you kind of turn a little to see, they're dressed like a, they're basically dressed in servant's outfit. And got the kind of the fairly plain shirt and trousers. They don't actually have a tray or anything on them, but obviously they have this long needle in hand, which even as you're turning around, they have disappeared up their sleeve.
Maybe I lost my concentration because I heard Ming's voice or smelled her on the fresh spring breeze. Right, she's distracting to be around. So I think I think I'm going to have at this rascal in none too uncertain terms. So when I turn in surprise, I think it'll be something quite, I won't say not violent, but not, immediately impressive. So it'll be something like I will stand on his foot and then, hoist him off his center of gravity by his belt, just to put him completely off balance, and use that opportunity to kind of move him aside, out of view of the party.
Yeah, so I think you kind of get the. Oh well, no, you don't get the drop on him, but I think you surprise him when you, basically when you are able to react. I think his foot slips back as you try to stand on it, and he just avoids that. But you do grab your arms around him and you push him back, and he kind of it's almost that thing. It's almost like kind of stage fighting. You can tell that he's going with you as you push him back, and I think you slip into. I think maybe that there's kind of actually like a little hedge maze here that you push him sort of back into sort of the entrance to this hedge maze, and he'll say, "Resilient. How interesting." And he he kind of smiles a little and says, "Is it too late for us to both go about our evenings?"
And I think I will give a wry grin at that, and then kind of catapult him, into the thorny bushes of the hedge maze by just, falling backwards, keep a hold of his belt, and just send him headfirst into the hedge behind me, and use that opportunity to draw a sword.
Yep. And I think he impacts into the hedge that you throw him into, and it kind of and as it does, like as hedges do, that he kind of springs back, and he kind of uses that momentum to flip himself forwards, and he flips out his sleeves, and he's got actually more needles, similar to the ones he used before, but sort of propped between each finger now. And he says, "Well, I had hoped things might go a little easier than this." And he will fling one of these darts at you as he charges towards you with sort of the other hand outstretched.
Okay, so I think I will take the dramatic pause to say, "But wait, you're not a simple waiter," and maybe go into a guard position to block the needles with an armored sleeve or a sword along the back edge or something like that.
Yep, excellent. So what we'll do now is we'll roll for the this will be a duel. This man is a worthy opponent. He is at your scale, or I should say they are at your scale, so if we look at the basic moves, we'll see the duel there. So for this move, you have to roll with your style element. The foe is at your scale, as I said. So for in this case, on a successful roll, you will be able to beat them. On a failure, you won't necessarily. So yeah, if you would like to roll that, and then we'll sort of narrate out a little bit more about how this goes down.
Okay, so I rolled a 7, +2 for metal, which is my fighting style is the Sun and Moon Serpent Sword.
Excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
So this piece of information I will give you for free, because it would have allowed you. This person is not a member of the 11 Devils. You know their style, and while he is using some of the sort of techniques, they go in for poison a lot. That's a big thing that they like to do, especially chi disrupting poison. But you don't think this is a member of the 11 Devils, so sadly you don't get to use your bond on this roll. But yeah, so on a 7 to 9, you can choose one of the following options. You can win at a cost. You will mark chi, but either you'll mark chi, or they'll escape, or you lose face, or some other cost. You can narrate your loss, which will allow you to mark XP, and next time you face them, you'll take +1 forward, but obviously you lose this encounter. Or you can fight to a deadlock and either reveal a detail or ask a question about them.
I think we fight to a deadlock.
Excellent.
And I think the detail, when I draw my sword, right, he will recognize it. If he didn't already know who I was, he definitely will.
Yep, certainly.
And maybe in the initial exchanges of the fight, he thinks he is winning. He has me in a very tight space here in the hedge maze, and where his smaller, quicker style is probably at an advantage against a slashing saber. And I think maybe there's a bit of a villainous monologue when he thinks he has me at his mercy, and he reveals a detail about himself or who he's working for before I drive him away, if that makes sense.
Yeah, certainly. So, so he's obviously come towards you. You've risen up into Gaza. How does it look as you sort of fight back against him? And even though you get it to it's just we'll end it in a deadlock. How does your sort of style look? How do you fight him in this hedge maze?
So yeah, in close, I think what happens is that so I think maybe the style, the sun and moon serpent sword, is sometimes about misdirection, or of having a flashy part of the move that people notice, but not the actual strike itself. So it's like when the sun is in the sky, no one notices the moon, even if it's there, right? And so I'm using the sword initially very traditionally, and then I reverse the grip and use it defensively along my forearm, and then I'm striking with my hand instead of just using it as a kind of balancing limb. I'm actually doing all of my damage with the open hand or fist.
Nice. So yeah, I think he's pressed back, and like I said, he was obviously clearly, as he pretty much said, but he was expecting to just knock out a guard and carry on with his day, and he's impressed, and he says, "Ah, that explains it. Governor Bao's little pup. Well, boy, you have been barking up the wrong tree for some time now. Let me go, and it will be for the best when all is said and done. But as little as I wish to harm someone who clearly has the best intentions of all at heart, I cannot let you stand between me and my prize. I will bring down Governor Bao, and I cannot let you stop me."
Can I?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think that as this go on, because as I understand, Yusu is like stalling for time, and and Ming is like, "Oh my God, is it fighting? Yusu, you must go and stop this. There can be no fighting at the party." And she said it like so loud that everyone attention was like, "Oh my God, there's fighting! Like, go there! Someone will distract." This is the perfect distraction she was waiting for to like distract everyone at the party. Yusu must go and stop them. There's someone fighting.
Am I being hearts and minded?
It sounds very much like that's the case. Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Do I do it out of passion or out of caution, presence, focus, speed? All right. I think this is like a really. I think this is like trying to like speak to you passionately. That I know that you will probably do it because that's part of your thing. But yeah, this is like a more like a part of like an act to convince you to do it. I'm going to roll with fire. Let's make my first roll. It's a 10. So
yeah, on a 10, well, it's quite straightforward. For a PC, Yusu, if Yusu does what you ask, so in this case, go and intervene in this fight, he marks XP. If he doesn't, he marks a chi instead.
I think
you may burn a bond to avoid this if you have.
No, I'm not going to burn a bond. I am going to mark XP because I think that despite my concern for Ming and her potential for bad behavior, this is absolutely in line with my mission. And as I walk away, I know I've been played, but I quite admire the skill in the playing. And so I will endeavor to move swiftly through the crowd towards the maze where I've heard the clatter and clash of combat. The interesting question is whether there's anything still going on when I arrive.
So yeah, obviously, this has been a fairly subtle fight as kung fu fights go, which is to say that the majority of the people present at the party have not yet been alerted to this disturbance, but obviously the keen, highly trained senses of martial artists can instinctively pick up on the disturbance, and as you approach the maze, I think, as I said, this fight has been fought to a deadlock. The figure now that you, as I said, now that they have, you've kind of had this moment to look at them. Anshe, I said they are dressed in like I said, servants' clothes. They have like ironically a remarkably unnoticeable face. They're very androgynous. They have that sort of face where you can't swear that if you looked away from them for a moment, you wouldn't necessarily be able to describe them. There is quite possibly some sort of chi manipulation, disguise technique going on here. But they like I said, you sort of fought to a standstill. They've got they've got a couple of the needles, gripping your sword between it and holding it out whilst they're kind of avoiding your blows. And as Master Yu approaches, you'll see their eyes flicker over to the entrance to the hedge maze, and they will say, "Awfully sorry, but I think I will have to take my leave of you now." And they are going to basically fling one of the needles from their free hand at your face, and as you kind of disengage and try and phase back into the hedge, if you wish to take an action at this point, you are free to do so. But essentially, they are escaping into the night.
Yeah, I think I'll have to respond with some kind of rejoinder that I look forward to renewing our acquaintance. Batting or maybe catching the needle, because it might be valuable evidence to track this guy down. So I guess I will leave him escape.
Certainly. And yes, Master Yusu, that is when you arrive in the hedge maze.
And presumably I can hear the slight clack of lacquered layered armor that I would recognize as one of the governor's guards.
Yes, and, certainly, yep.
And I will say, good fellow, what has gone? What has passed here?
Yeah, so are there lanterns in the maze, or is it entirely dark?
There have been there's sort of some strategic lanterns. It's much gloomier in here than it is in the rest of the garden, but there are some lanterns, as it's obviously been anticipated that some people may wish to take a walk in the maze for any possible number of reasons during the evening.
The convenience of my blindness means that I don't notice them.
Yeah. So, obviously, like walking forward into the lantern's lights would be the usual way of revealing myself or my true identity. But presumably, I recognize Master Yu's voice.
You do, yep.
I'm very happy to have walked under a lantern.
Yeah. I think all I need to do to reveal my identity to you is to flourish the sword and sheath it again, and you recognize the sound of the sword.
There is a distinctive sound to that sword, Anshay.
Of course there is. It's a legendary sword, you know.
Even its sheathing is unique.
Yeah. Or your ears are so well attuned.
It's a very particular note as the reverberates from the metal as you sheathe it.
It's almost a Professor X, isn't it? It's Anshay, why are you dressed so strangely?
Master Yu, I was surprised it took you so long to get here. You must have been engaged with some wonderful company.
Less about the company, more about the mission, my boy.
Well, I am very surprised that your mind was not on the mission. Preventing violence on the grounds would seem to be just your cup of tea.
Indeed, yes. And
if you had arrived here mere moments ago, we could have caught this assassin red-handed.
You believe there is an assassin at large in the grounds?
And I think walking up to Master Yu, Anshay will offer the caught needle, or maybe put it under his nose to scent the poison, or whatever effect is on it, as proof of the villain schemes.
Okay, cool.
Is it possible for me to identify anything about the faction by studying this poisoned needle?
So we can certainly go for a study roll now, unless you have a specific move that you think is more appropriate.
No, sadly, I didn't take traveling sifu or similar.
Yeah.
So I'm reduced to simply smelling it. Perfect.
So yeah, if you'd like to roll that now, we'll probably come back to the results of that in a bit. But if you'd like to go ahead and make your study roll now, again, whichever chi you feel most appropriate to this roll.
It seems to me mostly to be about my awareness. Just stop me if I seem to be milking that.
It's an obvious choice for a reason. If you're studying something, awareness is generally going to come up.
Well, that's 7. So on a Perfect. 7 to 9, gain 1. Ask a question about the situation, place, blah 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 blah. Ask about the person. I think that I will ask about the owner's. Hidden details. Yes, I can ask about. Oh, it's a situation or place. How do you read that?
To be honest, I think either of those, certainly you could certainly ask something about the owner, and I think you could probably ask something about the situation in the sense of the nature of this.
Well, look, I'm going to declare something. Then I'll reveal a detail, and you stop me if it runs entirely counter to what you have in mind. And the detail is that this is typically used by the Order of the Veiled Knight.
Certainly, does
that fly?
Yeah, no, that is a very apt a very apt thing to yeah, this is clearly they use poisons. This isn't a it's not a lethal poison. It is used to incapacitate, but they are certainly fond of subtle and subtle methods of incapacitating and killing. We will gloss over the fact that a small group of them jumped out dressed entirely in black in midday during a previous scene to fight people in the street, but
Well, I mean, I'll settle for this is someone who is trained in the arts of the Order of the Veiled Knight.
Yeah.
Whether they are acting on behalf of the faction's a different question.
Certainly, that is perfect. Cool. And we will then cut over to Ming. Now that you have your moment of distraction, what are you going to do?
I think the camera just picks up where Ming was talking to Sue, and then the camera follows, and we see like a yellow ribbon hanging from the roof, and then the camera goes after the ribbon, and we see Yellow Whisper just quietly moving around archers as they're maybe going, and there's someone's looking to this maze situation, and we see she's quietly moving from one roof part to the other one to the other one, clearly going to the open window somewhere in the palace, which turns out to be the governor's office.
Of course. So, would you like to roll me? This is probably going to be just a straight overcome when you do something under pressure. Unless you have a move that you think is more appropriate to this.
I have Reign of Assassins. When you attempt to become undetected using shadows and concealment, roll.
Yep, no, that sounds absolutely appropriate for this one.
What I missed. Yeah, this is definitely. I'm going to roll with water because it's about awareness and where they are and not stepping into too much light. So +1. Oh, nice! It's a fail.
Ah.
And the move reads, on a mess your attempt fails and leaves you vulnerable.
Excellent. Well, we're at just about 10 past now. So I think we'll take our 5-minute break here, and then we will return to that to the consequences of that in a moment.
I'm really enjoying this, David. Just so you know.
Oh, good. Glad you're having fun.
I knew you were typing as soon as we got into that maze, Alan.
Well, it a formative experience, Donna.
Yeah.
You took my Monster Heart's virginity in that
That sounds almost as awesome as it was, wasn't it?
Cool. Okay. So, Ming, you definitely avoid the guardsman on the roof. You slip in through the open window. And as you enter, you can see there is a some scrolls out on the desk, and as you approach them, so we've had it established already, but I don't think we ever went into much detail on it. For whatever reason, you've always trusted Sun Feng, the nobleman.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that you've sort of trusted him and thought that he was on the level, given how sort of skeptical you are of people in power in general?
He kind of like provides me with a good information. Who is corrupt and where can I find the corrupting evidence that makes my job much more easy? Even though I'm completely probably very oblivious to that, I eliminate his political enemies. But yeah, his information always comes true. People are corrupt, and he tells me like he has his documents in his bedroom, and there they are.
Excellent. Yep. And as I said, it's perfectly the other players can, if they wish, notice Ming having gone into this room if they so, or I should say Yellow Whisper, but
well, yeah. If things look like they're about to go pear-shaped, then I think I would like to declare a plan I had put in place to keep her safe from herself.
Certainly. We'll come back to that in a moment. So yes, and I think as Ming goes towards goes towards the desk, there is a chuckle from behind her as out of the shadows in this. It's a dimly lit room. It probably isn't actually a light on in here. It's just whatever light's spilling in from outside. A familiar figure steps forward, and it is indeed Sun Feng. He says, "Oh dear, you really don't know when to quit, do you? I admire your tenaciousness. You've been most helpful to me. But I'm sorry, my dear. Governor Bao is far too useful to my plans, and I cannot let you expose him just yet."
But Sun Feng, what are you talking about? Anzi is here. He must know that Governor is like lying to him. It's just like we need to. If we can expose him at this party, it will be like a big. You always came through with your information.
I'm sorry, but I need him where he is for now. So, I will give you the chance. You can leave right now through that window. You'll probably get out of here before the guards notice. And he doesn't draw it. He doesn't make any threatening motion, but he just lets his hand graze the pommel of his sword, of the sword in his belt.
Yeah, I think we see Yellow Whisper draw her like war fans. Like they are of course yellow with like a sharp metal endings. And she says something, please, really, don't make me do it. Well, like I will do it if I have to, but don't force me. And then it's like walk toward these documents. But if he will attack me, I will fight back.
And he will say, foolish child, you are skilled but have no grace. You are a poorly loosed arrow. And he will move and dart forward fast with the blade of his sword extended, and he will just attempt to run you straight through without any sign of mercy or restraint.
I think we see Yellow Whisper just like blocks the sword with the war fan. It's like very tricky because sword is like a much larger weapon, and then maybe like go to like an elbow to the back of the head, and then we see them like begin to struggle and fight, like war fan versus sword, clanking of metal versus metal.
You're a spirited one, child, but it will do you no good. And he kind of delivers one of those sort of powerful kicks that sort of sends you back against sort of the bookshelf at the side of the room, and more scrolls fall off and clatter along the floor as he lunges towards you again. And at this point, we will go for a duel roll. You are fighting a character at higher tier than you, but yes, you can roll with your style element.
Bo is above scale. You lose on a hit, you declare how you lose. My styles, of course, +2, I believe. Yes, Earth. It's a 10.
Excellent. I mean, at least as good as... So, yeah, on a 10, you will lose the conflict, but there are no particular mechanical penalties to this. So, how does it look as you as this as Sun Feng sort of presses you and overwhelms you?
Yeah, I think we see that. Yeah, that Yellow Whisper tries to go for the document, but he's like always on the way, and the war fans like not once went through or even like or even like scratched his clothing. And maybe by the end we see them fighting by the window through which I came through, and we see him like do like a spin kick, and we see like Yellow Whisper just like blows. She like breaks through the next window, so there's like a really like window smashing, and we see her like fall on the roof while he stays inside and guards the documents.
Perfect. So yes, the Anshe and Yusu can both see this. See Yellow Whisper presumably expelled from the building, if you so wish, and wish to intervene. Or
no one falls quite like Yellow Whisper.
Yeah, I think maybe we see like a yellow ribbon going after me from the roof, and then just like land like perfectly, like not like even making a sound on the ground, but the breaking of the glass was like very loud.
I'd like to have a needed item at hand. I'd like to have a plan, please.
Yes. So what is your plan?
What I want is a way to get. My reasoning is that if Yellow Whisper has been thrown out of that room the way it sounds, then she has encountered someone of significant potency.
Yeah, that's a fair.
That person is therefore a danger to the festival, and if they are to be neutralized or encouraged to not make a fuss, I need to understand their potency. And so what I want to have available is a young sapling, which will, when bent back, propel me to that roof.
Yep, that sounds good.
Now all I need is to roll at least 7 to 9. Oh, sorry, I should tell you which chi. I beg your pardon. Before I look at that, I'm going to go with creativity, speed, and passion. This is not what I thought I'd need the sapling for, so I'm going to take fire at -1. So that becomes a 4. Well, there's so failed miserably. But I think I still get 1 hold.
That's right, but the tables are turned on you at some point.
So I think that I mean, if you're content for me to narrate this bit, and then stop me if it doesn't work, is that I leap to the sapling, bend it back, and it propels me to the roof. But instead of landing where I can determine who this person is, I am propelled into a conflict with this person.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
But I'd quite like to know what Anne Shay's doing before I do anything else.
I guess. I mean, I was going to see if I could hunt down Sung Fang, but with Yellow Whisper kind of thrown out of a window, I can't help but make sure that she's okay. So I think I'll be up there momentarily, Master Yu.
Now, I think that if this had been a kind of normal encounter, I might have tried to stop the conflict as it breaks out, but that would hardly be an appropriate outcome for a miss on the previous move.
Yeah, so I think you land in the you're essentially just you go in through the same window that Yellow Whisper left, and obviously Sun Feng is still in there. I don't think he I don't think that he says anything. You just hear possibly almost just a slightly resigned sigh as and the unmistakable sound of a sword being unsheathed again, as he lunges at you. I think yeah, I think I will say probably if you mark your fire there, as I think you he almost takes you out with that that first strike, and it's just kind of by your skilled reflexes that you're able to dodge the sword point, and it kind of takes it kind of quenches that fire in you as he kind of takes the the impetus out of your headlong charge into the situation.
Yes, I mean, not surprised. Passion and speed is not my thing. But as I spin across the room, I will stand when I'll roll up to my feet, adopt the pose of the conscious crane, which involves standing on one tiptoe while the other foot is drawn up to my knee, and I present my flute, and we attack. I'm not sure that Yusu is a great martial artist, but he is certainly not going to allow this person to walk away if he can help it. But he's about to have a nasty shock, I think.
Yeah. So once again, something is at a higher scale. So sorry, I didn't explain this earlier, Donna. Sorry, but essentially, scale it's a fairly loose definition, but essentially, someone's scale is how martially potent they are, and essentially the way the moves break down is if somebody is lower tier than you can always beat them pretty much. If someone's the same tier as you, it's actually a contest. If someone's higher tier than you, they will, in a straight up fair fight, they will beat you. The trick is to make the fight not fair, or to train yourself to know their weaknesses, and learn how to defeat them. You have your training montage, that sort of thing. But as it is,
we are following the trope of engaging the higher tier opponent one by one, so that we can't possibly defeat him. Right? That's
exactly.
We are the mooks in this.
Cool. So yes.
Can I suggest a different turn of event, because there's a move I would really like to try here.
What have you got in mind?
Yeah.
So I have a move that calls House of Traps. When you reveal a trap you have left for someone, and then something cool will happen. So maybe we see that as Master Su is getting ready to fight, Sun Feng is still by the window, and we see it's like yellow ribbon on the floor, like in a circle, and then he steps into it, and then we see the other end by the yellow whisperer at the bottom, and then actually like pulls, and hopefully it will like pull him out of the window, and she will go up, and he will go down. But
no, that sounds awesome. Go for it.
So when a trap you have left for someone, on a hit, your opponent trips into it, and you get an opening. On a miss, it will escalate. So I think I'm going to. How did I leave this trap? It was definitely at speed as I was being kicked out of the room. I have to really assemble it. So. Wow, it's a 13.
Nice. So you get an opening. So yeah, I think as I say, it happens pretty much as you determined. As Sun Feng lunges towards Master Yusu, the yellow ribbon catches around his foot and jerks him off balance, and he flies out of the window as you rise up. And he's a skilled martial artist, but he just throws him off enough, and he can't quite get the grip on his. You see him kind of try and twist the ribbon around his foot and get some purchase on it as he falls, but he slams down hard against the floor, and the sword skitters out of his hand before he is able to retrieve it. So you have an opening.
Yes, so if I can use it, my idea was that we will maybe see that we now try to like race for this document. Both of us like running up, but I have slight advantage plus 2 forward because he's like grab his sword first and then run after me. So we see this like running up the pillar and then just like trying to grab the document before he can get their back. Because I really hope to show them to Anzi and then something else will happen.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. So yeah,
I think the only thing I have to add in the immediate moment is Angzi's kind of inner thoughts that he cannot believe that Ming was so blind to Sun Feng's true nature. That he can't believe she trusted him. How foolish of her.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, Yeah, go on. I think we'll call that again an overcome when you do something under pressure. So yes, you do get a +2 on this. Again, he is going to leap to the ground, leap to his feet, grab his sword, and leap straight up through the window, basically to try and stop you from getting to these documents.
Yeah. I think I'm over reliant on fire, but it's a speed. It's definitely speed above anything.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair.
And we get a 7! Yay!
Okay, so you succeed, but with a complication. So
Alan wants to say something.
My child, why are you so eager to obtain these scrolls?
And as you are darting towards the scrolls, as I said, there's a couple of scrolls out on the desk. You haven't had a chance really to see what's on them yet.
Mm-hmm.
But you grab one of the scrolls as Sun Feng lands perfectly on the floor. He looks towards you, sort of hate in his eyes. And as you grab that scroll, a ceiling tile drops down and a figure basically leans down from the ceiling and grabs the other scroll and picks it up. They're dressed in servants' clothing. They have a kind of indistinct look to them as Ageless Sin grabs the other scroll and pulls himself back up into the ceiling where they were hidden.
I think we can only see like Yellow Sparrow just like standing there with like just one Ageless Sin. Master Su, those scrolls are important to show to Angzi. They prove that he's being lied to by the governor, and this man prevents this from happening.
I think that is sufficient leverage and pressure to make me susceptible to her words. What would you want me to do, Ming?
I hate to ask you, Master Su, but I need to get out and get his documents to Angzi, and he will definitely try to stop me. And we already see like I'm moving and Sun Feng is moving, and this thing before the fight starts again.
Okay, well, I think if you hearts and minds me, then that will give me sufficient motivation to leap through that hole in the ceiling and pursue this thief.
Oh, no. I totally didn't mean this thief. I totally mean this like this man is trying to stop me because Edison got one of the scrolls. I have the other. I hope I have the right one. So I'm talking about you stopping Sun Feng from stopping me.
You want me to intervene with Sun Feng?
Yes.
So you can. Okay. Well then, yes. But you will need to hearts and minds me. How could? Because you've played a trick on me this evening, young woman.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say, Master, so you always speak that wisdom of the young is not great and that only the elders have the wisdom, but this is about bringing wisdom to Angzi. He must learn the truth. I'm going for wisdom and water. Oh, this is like so interesting. It's like I'm sitting at the edge of the chair. It's an 8.
So, yep, it's the same choice as before. So Yisu can either agree to do what you want, in which case he marks XP, or can refuse, in which case he marks Chi. The only difference is that if he marks Chi, you also mark Chi.
I'm going to mark experience and stand between her and Sung Fen, hoping that Anne Shea will turn up shortly.
I think without a sapling or some kind of acrobatic ribbon, I've had to get to the office the traditional route. So I'm sure I will arrive just at the right moment. Burst through the door.
So yeah, I think Sun Feng will have said, "Out of the way, monk. This child steals from the governor. Surely you will not permit this. Allow me to stop her." And I think that's the point where if Anshay wants to make his dramatic entrance.
Yeah, so I think on the way up the stairs, I have shed the cumbersome guard's armor to reveal my traditional Phoenix Immortal order robes. And I burst through the doors in one motion, drawing the legendary saber, which I'm sure Sun Feng recognizes. And I think, he can obviously discern my intent towards him, but maybe some people might discern that I am also here to protect Ming. I don't know how obvious that will be.
I'm just curious. Before I do this, sorry, just step out of character for a moment.
No, yeah, go for it.
I'm thinking of using the master move. If I succeed in cooling tempers, if anyone decides to instigate the fight, they mark or must pay a significant cost, and you gain +1 forward against them. What I'm trying here to engineer is that Sun Feng would be at a disadvantage in this combat. Does that seem a reasonable use of the move?
Let's see. Sorry, I'll just double check. So I'm still not got all these internalized yet. So I'll just double check the. That's when.
Because what I'm hoping is that even if I cool tempers, Sun Feng will proceed.
Yep, that's fair. Yeah, no, that's. I just wanted to double check that. Yeah, no, you absolutely can. I couldn't remember if it was that you kind of automatically call it, but you don't. So yeah, you can. I was going to say, if your intent here is to try and calm things down, then you absolutely can make that move.
What I don't want to do is to ruin Anne Shay's big moment. So this is about presence and focus.
Sure thing. So yeah, what are you sort of saying to kind of calm down the situation or to try and forestall violence?
So as we have these swift cuts between the faces of the combatants, what we see is a flute rises between them, and a calm voice says, "There is no need for further violence. We can discuss this. Surely neither of you would wish to spill blood at the time of this glorious evening." Yeah.
Perfect.
And that gives me 7, 8. It's because I'm using focus. 9. That gets me to 9, which is the perfect result in context, I think. Oh, no, it's not. I'm going to burn a bond with An Shi
Yep.
to get that to 10.
Perfect.
Which means that if Sun Feng continues to act, to carry on with the fight, I will have +1 forward against them. And they must... Well, what it says is Mark must pay. Mark Chi must pay. I don't know. There might be a misprint in the move.
Yes, it's yeah. I think
so. They must, because it's an NPC. They can't mark
exactly.
Chi,
Yeah.
so they must pay a significant cost.
Yeah.
Which I think An Shi can decide, can define. Because I just want Sun Feng to get stuck in now.
Yeah. So I think there's that moment of silence after Yusu speaks. And then then Sun Feng speaks. Well, he doesn't speak at first. He grasps the end of the flute and pushes Yusu aside in that way that, like, if it was actually kind of an attack, you would obviously have been able to parry it and stuff because it's martial arts, but because this is, him pushing over an old blind priest, it just happens. And he says, "Foolish monk, I had hoped to keep the violence to a minimum, but you fools will not let up. So, your order is at an end, Anshe. I had not planned to spill your blood and end your foolish path, but if it must be, then so be it." And he's just going to kind of come in with a straight sweep at you with the sword and attempt to take your head off in a neat, clean motion. Yeah.
That sounds all very, very well and good, but I object.
Cool. Yeah. So what? How do you respond?
Yeah. So I think I will say, even if the moon is new and you cannot see it, it is still there, you fool. And I think I will step back just a half a step, but with his sweep actually is taking in the door frame that I've just come through. And then I will use his kind of the jarring stop that puts to his sword to strike underneath his guard.
Excellent. So we will go through duel here. Because he has broken the peace that was laid before him, he will be on your scale for this combat. He's essentially given up the moral high ground isn't quite the right term, but he has broken the immutable rules of the Wulin, and as such, his kung fu is less effective than it would normally be.
Okay, so let me roll and see. Ooh, so I rolled a 9 plus 2 is an 11.
Excellent. So we will. I'll read out the result of that. So if the foe is your scale on a 10+, you win the conflict, and if you show them mercy or let them escape, you may mark XP, and you can also declare. Sorry, you can also declare a shift in the fiction, a change of heart, impress somebody, shift in entanglement, etc. I think you come up under his guard, and he jerks back the sword from the door frame, and much like you did, he just avoids your sword thrust. He comes at you again, but you can tell that he is off balance. His nerves are frayed. He's letting emotion get to him more than he should. And
I would like to offer an incentive for Anzi to maybe like spare him by saying, Anzi, you didn't know me, but he's not your real enemy. Here are the documents. You must see them. Governor Bao is really betraying you, not this man. But you must see these documents.
Awesome. So again, you can roll hearts. You can roll hearts and minds there. I believe the tricks thing means that you always have.
It was more meant as an incentive for
I mean,
to spare him to like maybe pick the option of letting him escape. It was just like give him.
Oh yeah, no, that's cool. But yeah, no, if you want to roll, go ahead and roll hearts and minds anyway, and we'll see how that.
I don't want to interfere between the moves because it's like his option to make on the fight mode.
I still think that's a fair. I still think that's a fair interjection because you're trying to get him to go along. So I think it's a. I think that's a fair option there.
Okay, Donna, do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I need to be thoroughly convinced. But
I mean, if you want to just go along with it anyway, that's cool. But that's
certainly Yusu's sightless eyes are looking very intently at you.
Yeah, so I think I will not be surprised by the revelation that Yellow Whisper is in fact Ming, right? But maybe this is mistaken for focus on the opponent, and I think we draw Sun Feng into another attack, and then use that opportunity to block the sword, but then break it, and then the saber kind of sweeps around in a feint that causes him to, step back, and it comes back around to his throat and stops, shaving distance away from his neck, and then in a very kind of cold manner, I will say, on your knees, Sun Feng. We will bring you to justice after we have found out what you truly know about this whole affair.
And he will sigh, and he will get on his knees, but he kind of puts his hands out to his side and affects a sardonic expression and says, "You are a fool if you trust the justice of this land, but I am more than willing to be thrown upon its tender mercies."
And I think the pressure that the point of this saber makes upon his throat increases ever so slightly, and I will say, I can give you a swifter, more immediate form of justice if you really wish, Sun Feng.
That is your decision to make, Anshe. You have me at your mercy. For now, do as you wish.
Yeah, so I think I will show him mercy. I will not chop his head off. but for now, at least.
Yep, excellent. So yeah, you are essentially going to try and take him into custody, for want of a better. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we are going to take him away and secure him, and maybe wait until we see exactly what this scroll says.
Cool. So, well, I think I'm just going to straight up ask, Ming, what does this scroll say about Governor Bao, and what he's been involved in? I can answer if you wish, but if you have any ideas of what you want, seeing as it's.
Yeah, I think we like unveil the scroll, and I think it like is a communication between Governor Bao and mysterious someone. I don't have a fancy name. Wait, there's a cool list. A conversation between Governor Bao and Peerless Falcon, where he describes how he betrayed the Phoenix Immortal, the disciples, and like place like a fake evidence so that they will be destroyed because they were perceived to be worse than the Devil Perfection Society, and like he plays those evidence, and he like in this letter that just like describes, and now he writes that he is like he has the remaining fools under his command, but will eliminate them soon.
Perfect. That's great. So, I think we'll close this out now. So I'm going to give Ming, I'm going to give you an opportunity to sort of do a little epilogue once we've wrapped this scene up, so we can see sort of where you go on to and what happens with you next. But I think where this scene ends is there is the clatter of guards coming up the guards coming up the stairs, and a man dressed in magistrate's robes, Magistrate Zheng. I say, I heard there was some sort of disturbance. Have you caught the thief?
And I think that probably Master Yusu will gesture to Sun Feng. This man is the criminal you seek.
Sun Feng is Yellow Whisper?
Apparently.
I thought it was that grubby fellow from the market. Dear Lord. I find this very difficult to believe, Master Yusu.
Do you not see the yellow ribbons? And of course, in the background, we now see that Yellow Whisper is dressed in red.
While Sun Feng had this like yellow ribbon still attached to his leg, which I pulled him before.
Exactly.
That's called complete proof in this legal system.
And Sun Feng is just going to sigh and say, very well, Magistrate. I suppose I will come along. And he offers his hands out to be bound by the guardsman and is led away. And so, Ming, what's the last we see of you following these events?
I think what I think maybe we see like the three of us at some tea house the following day, and Ming says, "I'm really hoping on the discretion of the two of you. The Yellow Whisper must remain a myth that people will believe, that the criminals will be brought to justice, and that the common folk can hope for some justice. The Yellow Whisper can never have a name or can be identified. Can I count on your discretion?"
I'm sure, my child, that another Yellow Whisper will arise to take the place of the villain now incarcerated.
Yes. Although I love this dress, but I will ask for anyone.
Your secret is, of course, safe with me, Ming. I'm sure you have fooled everyone as to Yellow Whisper's true identity, so much so that people can believe that it was Sung Feng all along.
Anzi, I really tried to get this document so that you can have some closure of your clan, but I feel that the situation out here in the city is too heated. I should leave it and let the situation cool. People should probably not see the Yellow Whisper more, as he has been apparently captured. So
I'm sure we could use your help now that I must confront the governor and bring him to justice of a more final kind than we have brought to Sung Feng.
I'm sure that Lian and Lin will clearly help you. I believe they were talking something about Sun Feng as well. So now that he's out of the way, nothing steps in their way. But my clan calls me. I bid you to have nice festivities, but there are more corruption to be exposed.
Take care, my child.
Thank you, Master. You were always an inspiration, and I owe you greatly for the help you have provided me.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. That's where we'll leave things for this evening. So thank you all. It was a great session. I'll stop broadcasting in a second. So if you have been watching, thanks very much, and see you next time. Yeah, thank you, Pavel, for the last session with you. It's been great fun.